What really happens when a record explodes in silence, triggering waves of emotion across continents, yet at the same time creating a kind of stillness that feels louder than the cheers of millions? Why does a moment that should be filled with celebration instead arrive wrapped in unanswered questions? And how could a single sentence from Park Seo Joon suddenly shift the entire global conversation surrounding Kim Taehyung and Jungkook? Within just a matter of hours, the online world seemed to be pulled into an unexpected vortex. The records set by Taehyung in the United States were not merely numbers, but a social phenomenon that highlighted the immense global influence of a single idol. Yet behind those impressive statistics lay a far more complex emotional dynamic, something that could not be explained by data alone. It all began with what seemed like a simple post. At first glance, there was nothing particularly extraordinary, just a piece of fan-shipping content, layered with a creative, even absurd caption typical of fandom humor. But no one anticipated what would happen next. In only a few hours, the post surged past 2,000 likes, hundreds of reposts, and over 17,000 views. While such numbers are not unusual in a fandom as massive as BTS, what made this moment different was the reaction that followed. Comments began pouring in, creating an atmosphere that blurred the line between seriousness and playfulness. Phrases like, "Taehyung looks yaoi top here," appeared repeatedly, accompanied by countless reaction GIFs that reflected just how fluid the boundary is between entertainment and obsession within fandom culture. This wasn't just spontaneous engagement. It was a reflection of how fans interact with their idols, constructing narratives that may stray far from reality, yet feel real enough to those immersed in them. This phenomenon cannot be separated from the enduring popularity of Taehyung, the ship between Taehyung and Jungkook, which has long been a defining element within the BTS fandom. For some, it is harmless fun. For others, it represents a deeper emotional outlet, even a form of escapism. And this is where the complexity begins to unfold. As Taehyung's record in the United States gained wider attention, one would expect the focus to remain on his achievement. But instead, the narrative shifted. The spotlight moved away from numbers and onto reactions, or more precisely, the absence of one. Jungkook's silence became an enigma. There was no statement, no post, not even a subtle gesture that could be interpreted as a response. In a world where even the smallest detail is often magnified and analyzed, such silence became fertile ground for speculation. Was it merely coincidence? Or was there something intentionally left unsaid? Amid all of this, one element stood out as completely unexpected: the words of Park Seo Joon. Known to be close to Taehyung, the actor suddenly drew attention after making a statement that, while brief, felt loaded with meaning. Nothing in his words was explicitly revealing, yet the way they were delivered sparked curiosity. Was it simply the support of a friend? Or was there a deeper message, one that only those within a certain circle could truly understand? Public reaction quickly divided. Some saw it as a heartfelt moment, a sign that Taehyung is surrounded by people who genuinely care about him. Others, however, sensed something unusual, a subtle undertone that was difficult to define, yet impossible to ignore. Meanwhile, big hit music remained silent.
No clarificatiam, no confirmatiam, no denial.
And as is often the case in situations like this, silence only amplifies speculation. Interestingly, this moment also reignited a long-standing conversation about the blurred boundaries between reality and fantasy within fandom culture. The viral post featuring male pregnancy caption may have been intended as a joke, but the reactions it triggered revealed that not everyone has sprinted it as something purely lighthearted. Is this simply part of a fandom culture that tends to exaggerate? Or could it be a sign that something deeper is unfolding, something not yet ready to be revealed to the public? In this context, Taehyung's record in the United States becomes more than just an individual achievement. It transforms into the starting point of a chain of interconnected events, forming a layered and complex narrative. Every element, from the viral post to Jungkook's silence, from Park Seo Joon's words to the agency's quiet stance, plays a role in shaping a story that is difficult to ignore, and perhaps that is what makes it so compelling. Not what is visible, but what remains hidden. Not what is said, but what is left unsaid. In a world where information moves at incredible speed, mysteries like this are rare. And precisely because of that, they become deeply captivating. Will this lead to a major revelation? Or will it simply fade away, becoming another chapter in the colorful history of fandom culture? One thing is certain: this moment has left a mark. A mark that is unlikely to disappear anytime soon. And as long as those questions remain, as long as curiosity continues to grow, this story will keep evolving. And yet, just when it seemed like the narrative had reached its peak, another layer began to unfold. One that made the situation even more difficult to ignore. The numbers continued to climb. Taehyung's presence in the United States was no longer just trending. It was dominating conversations across multiple platforms, crossing cultural and linguistic boundaries with an ease that felt almost unreal. Every repost, every mention, every subtle reference added fuel to a growing fire that no one could fully contain. But why did it feel like something was missing? In the middle of overwhelming support and celebration, a strange emotional gap lingered, something unspoken, something unresolved. Fans began to notice patterns, or at least what they believed were patterns. Old clips resurfaced. Moments between Taehyung and Jungkook from months, even years ago, were suddenly reanalyzed with new intensity. A glance that once seemed casual now carried meaning. A laugh that once felt light now seemed layered. And in this digital reconstruction of memory, the line between past and present blurred even further. Was this simply nostalgia amplified by the moment? Or were fans uncovering fragments of a story that had always been there, hidden in plain sight? At the same time, the viral post that initially sparked much of the attention refused to fade into the background. Instead, it evolved. Edits multiplied. Variations of the same theme appeared across timelines, each one more exaggerated, more creative, and sometimes more controversial than the last. The bread caption, originally meant as a humorous exaggeration, became a symbol of how far fan imagination could stretch and how quickly that imagination could influence collective discourse. Some fans laughed it off, embracing the absurdity as part of fandom culture. Others, however, began questioning the boundaries. When does creativity turn into projection? When does playful interpretation become something heavier, something that begins to affect how real people are perceived? These questions didn't have clear answers, but they added weight to an already complex situation. Meanwhile, Jungkook's silence remained unchanged. If anything, it became more noticeable as time passed. In an environment where even a single emoji can spark headlines, his continued absence from the conversation felt almost deliberate. Some interpreted it as respect, allowing Taehyung to have his moment without interference. Others saw it as distance, a subtle shift that hinted at something deeper. And then came the theories. They spread quickly, as they always do. Some were harmless, built on hope and imagination. Others leaned into speculation that bordered on invasive. Each theory, no matter how grounded or far-fetched, contributed to a growing sense that something significant was happening beneath the surface, even if no concrete evidence existed. Amid this storm of interpretations, Park Seo Joon's words continued to echo. What was it about that statement that felt different? It wasn't just what he said, but when he said it. The timing aligned too closely with the surge of attention, almost as if it were responding to something invisible to the public eye. Fans dissected every syllable, every pause, every possible implication. Was there a hidden message? A quiet reassurance? Or was it simply a case of overanalysis? Another example of how easily meaning can be constructed in the absence of clarity?